Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna Benjamin, and I am an employee of Emonews. This morning, I am standing at a location that everyone would have seen me at yesterday. This morning, the scene is not as it was yesterday, and this is, of course, in Kingfield. And I felt like a lot of times we simply move over things, and sometimes we need to take a minute and understand what happened and reflect on what happened. This morning I have a terrible headache. I had it since yesterday. Yesterday I was a little bit shaken up. My adrenaline was really high, and so I wasn't really thinking a lot about what happened yesterday. But having had the night to mull it over, I decided that it's something that needs to be brought some more attention to. I was caught, I would say, in a crossfire yesterday, trying to bring attention to a peaceful protest. We woke up yesterday to the news that the truck drivers were on protest, and we saw traffic still flowing. We saw the truck drivers on one side of the road. Some point, the truck drivers decided to cut off the road by moving diagonally, by parking diagonally in the road. What prompted that, we do not know. At that point, there was an altercation with the police when one of the truck drivers was taken into custody. After that, of course, tempers flared, and more persons joined, and this trailer in the distance was moved into the road. Then, before the trailer was moved, the police riot squad came. We saw them coming through here. I was right on location. I am an eyewitness to what happened yesterday. We saw the police van. I saw the police van tore through the crowd. There was a crowd just by where the white truck is passing. I saw the police van tore through the crowd. I heard a senior police officer say, "Drive the truck, man, drive the truck," because the police officer driving was hesitant to tear through the crowd. That happened. He came through the crowd and they parked right there. Of course, I pointed out the fact that I saw gas masks. They were there and they did nothing. At some point, this trailer was moving to the road and the container was moving to the road. I left because somebody had a donation, so I left and I went to the bridge to get the donation. And coming back, I had food in my hand. I was somewhere around this trailer because I was about to go this way to deliver the food. At that point, tear gas started coming to the crowd. Now the crowd was over there at some point trying to move the container because the police had taken it out of the road, and the crowd was trying to prevent them from taking it out of the road. My question is, what law and order needed to be maintained at that time when the tear gas was thrown? The crowd had moved from there because when they noticed the riot squad coming out of these gates, the crowd had moved from there and they were coming back right here where the barricade was, and the tear gas was thrown in this direction where the crowd had gathered. So if the argument is that law and order needed to be maintained this area, yet still the tear gas was not thrown in that direction, the tear gas was thrown in this direction. I was caught somewhere here, like I said, and the live can prove it. I was caught somewhere here trying to make it this way. I didn't, because the tear gas was thrown and I got caught somewhere here. That point, I came to this pipe right here, which was flowing with water. Myself and an elderly gentleman was at this pipe right here. A police officer approached from here and brushed me right here. I was standing right here trying to get some water on my face to counter the effects of the tear gas. The police officer shoved me, at which point I'm telling him, I'm trying to find out what is his intention for doing that, because the crowd, if they say the crowd was immediate danger, if they say it's law and order, if they say all of those things, the crowd was nowhere in this area. Nowhere in this area. The crowd had dispersed. It was only myself and an elderly gentleman here. And the police officer decided to brush me aside, by which I was trying to engage him and asking him, about his intention. What is your intention? Why can't I say that? I'm media, because I was over there before everything happened. I was over there talking to them, asking them for some water, asking them for some juice. So he knows I'm media. I shouted that I'm media when I was right here. They could see the phone in my hand. I had the phone in my hand all there talking and explaining what's going on. I'm trying to get some water to throw on my face. All that time, the police officers knew that I was media. And yet still, I was shoved away from this pipe and prevented from getting some water onto my face. After that, police advanced here, and then the crowd dispersed, and then the crowd gathered back under the tree. Everything had simmered down. Another point I wanted to bring across is, after all of that happened, one more thing that I was witness to that really had me thinking about the actions of the police. And of course, we can't say it's all of the police. It's a select few. And the question is, as in the brackets, is it reasonable force? Were the police using reasonable force? Was there any rioting? I mean, when I look at things on TV, the only time the police responds is when things are thrown at them. Up to the time that the police sent the tear gas, the only thing the crowd did that could be construed as not as being disordered or whatever was the moving of these containers. Traffic was flowing because the police had opened there, and so on. Okay, let me not make this point, because I'm not sure if that was done after the gas or if that was done before the gas. So let me not make the point about traffic flowing. But the only thing, like I said, I was an eyewitness yesterday, and many of you were, because you were on the lives yesterday, that the only thing that could be construed as disorder, as anything, is the moving of that red trailer you're seeing there and a red container and placing them in the road. Yet still, tear gas was used to disperse a peaceful crowd. It was a peaceful crowd. The only thing you heard were talking, lots of talking. People were still talking to the police. People were talking to the police like friends and so on. And people were telling the police that they would respond if they used tear gas. Quite a few persons gathered stones from this area here. In my opinion, that's the only thing that happened yesterday that may have been construed as not maintaining order and all of those things. Like I was saying before, we look at television and we see that the only time police response is when provoked. What was the provocation yesterday that merited the use of tear gas? Now, like I said, there's one more incident that I want to bring to attention. I hope I'm remembering all my incidents at this time. I know the one at the pipe really shook me up and really had me thinking about why I was shoved, why the gentleman and I were not allowed some water to put on our faces. I was standing right here. I'm not sure if it was on the wood or on the park bench. I think it was on that wood right there I was standing. Because that is after the bullseyes were being thrown. We want to get all our facts properly. Because I had run, I was standing a little closer, interviewing Mr. Maglaw, and then I ran back. And I came and stood on that thing right there. Now this part was not very clear on the live. I happened to turn that way. And I happened to see with my own eyes a police officer dressed in black running forward. I kind of tried to follow him with the camera. At that point, I noticed, I think it was a police commissioner. It was a little dark, so I cannot be too sure. I think it was a police commissioner. He was pushing one of the protesters. He was an elderly gentleman again with locks, fierce skin. He was pushing him. And I took my own 2 eyes and saw that police officer who doesn't know anything about what's going on, except that he's hearing let's say it was the commissioner. I think it really was the commissioner. He's hearing the commissioner telling the gentleman, come out from there, come out from there. Why is he telling him come out from there? He's shoving him and he's pushing him and so forth. That police officer who was coming from the back came, and when he reached probably where the black car is now passing, a little before that drain door, many of us who were standing here saw that police officer kick that gentleman. And I couldn't believe it. You must have heard my voice on the live. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, but what is the reason for that? What is the reason for that? And a lot of times when people are doing simple actions like protesting, simple actions, we see our police using unreasonable force and nothing ever comes out of it. I don't expect anything to come out of it. I'm not going to press any charges for him shoving me. I'm not going to do any of those things because we know nothing comes out of it. And maybe there is a fine line between a human rights violation and a crime. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe have to engage, because maybe it's not a crime. Maybe it's not a crime what happened yesterday. Maybe, I'm not sure. But it definitely is a violation of human rights. I know that for sure, because I know that this was a peaceful gathering. A peaceful gathering. And yet still, tear gas was thrown, persons shoved, persons kicked, and the question is why? Is it the police using reasonable force in their right? Is it scare tactics? Is it a human rights violation? This is So Anna Benjamin for Emonews. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing this live. God bless Dominica. Goodbye.